They've returned. The tents, the sagging blue tarps, the silent encampments that rise after dusk and disappear before sunrise. It's 2025, and the sidewalks of the United States are once again telling a story our leaders still won't look straight in the eye. I move past these improvised neighborhoods and find myself asking, when did being poor start to look like a crime scene? A new administration has swept in, vowing to clean up the streets, and the battle over homeless in America has slipped into a darker phase, one where compassion and control bleed into each other. This isn't just another policy fight. It's a test of who we are when the people we walk by every morning have nowhere left to go. And the answer might say more about us than it ever does about them.
It's gonna be winter again, it's gonna get cold. I don't wanna be out here in this cold again. Last year was so terrible.
The turning tide, from housing first to treatment first.
We're going to be removing homeless encampments from all over our parks, our beautiful, beautiful parks, which now a lot of people can't walk on. They're very dirty, got a lot of problems.
Across the country, the conversation around homelessness has taken a sharp, unsettling turn. During his 2024 campaign, Donald Trump promised he would bring order back to the streets. And now, in 2025, that promise has hardened into policy.
There's supposed to be housing people here, and there's none.
But the focus isn't on building homes anymore. It's on exerting control. The new framework, branded Treatment First, turns the old Housing First approach on its head. Instead of offering stable shelter as the starting point for recovery, people are told they must first submit to treatment, monitoring, and strict compliance. Trump's advisors insist that the crisis of homeless in America is not about a shortage of housing, but a shortage of discipline. They claim too many people choose life on the streets, that addiction and untreated mental illness have turned neighborhoods into outdoor psychiatric wards.
I never know when I'm going to lose my RV. I could be in a tent tomorrow because I can't afford any other type of housing. So day by day, you never know what's going to happen or where you're going to be tomorrow. If you're going to be safe, if you're going to be sheltered, it's scary.
But when you're standing on a corner in Los Angeles, watching a man shiver under a thin blanket on cold pavement, does that really look like a choice? The administration frames its actions as rescue, saving people from themselves. To the people living in those tents, it feels like something else entirely. Punishment, disguised as compassion. This philosophy didn't materialize out of thin air. It traces back to the Heritage Foundation's Project 2025, a blueprint that recasts homelessness as a moral failing instead of a social collapse. For Trump, whose return to power is wrapped in the promise of law and order, this view fits like custom armor. Under the new structure, money that once funded permanent housing is being redirected toward mandatory rehab centers and psychiatric programs. And if someone refuses the program, the next person pulling back their tent flap may not be a social worker. It may be a police officer. Outreach workers I've spoken with describe the shift as cold, streamlined efficiency. One of them murmured, "They don't see human beings anymore, just problems to be cleared." Beneath it all is a deeper anxiety, a kind of quiet dread that homelessness is contagious, that if we let it linger, it will swallow our cities whole. Maybe that's why some people clap when the encampments are swept away. Maybe it gives them the illusion of safety. But I keep circling back to the same thought. When a society starts treating its most vulnerable residents like potential threats, who really needs the treatment? political engine behind the policy. You could feel the shift coming, not like a sudden storm, but like pressure quietly building under the surface. By the time Trump was back in power in 2024, homelessness had already morphed into more than a social problem. It had become a symbol. His campaign understood that perfectly. They turned it into a narrative, a story of danger, decline, and lost control. Nighttime drone footage of tent-lined downtown blocks looped endlessly. Flickering campfires, shadowy silhouettes, sirens bouncing off concrete walls. The message wasn't subtle. America was no longer safe, and someone had to reclaim it. People didn't just watch those images, they absorbed them. Fear and frustration seeped into cul-de-sacs, culverts, and small main streets alike. It stopped being solely about those who were homeless in America. It became about what they supposedly represented: chaos, addiction, disorder, everything people wanted to push far away from their own front doors. Trump gave that unease a clear villain and a simple promise: we will clean up our streets. He didn't hesitate to act. The inflection point arrived in June 2024, when the Supreme Court's decision in Grants Pass v. Johnson held that cities could outlaw camping on public property, even when there weren't enough shelter beds for everyone. That ruling was like throwing fuel onto an already blazing fire. In the months that followed, city after city began rolling out new camping bans. Some branded them public safety campaigns. Others labeled them beautification efforts. But for the people huddled under those blue tarps, they felt like raids. Then came Executive Order 14,321, signed on July 24, 2025, ending crime and disorder on America's streets. It offered financial incentives to cities that aggressively enforced bans on street camping and loitering. It pushed federal agencies to track so-called habitual offenders, and it introduced something entirely new: federally sanctioned tent camps. These were official, fenced-off areas where the unhoused would be relocated in the name of treatment and control. The order also authorized the construction of temporary tent facilities on federal land, designed to house, supervise, and rehabilitate homeless individuals. On paper, these compounds promised clean shelters, medical oversight, and constant security. In reality, they raised a tougher question. What does it mean when a tent becomes the only roof someone is allowed to have? Trump's base praised these camps as a practical fix. They argued it was better to centralize and manage the homeless in America than to let encampments spread through downtown districts. Critics, including advocacy organizations like the National Alliance to End Homelessness and the ACLU, saw something much different and much darker. They warned that this system was a step backward for human rights, a form of forced relocation, and a new way to criminalize poverty itself. And as the year unfolded, their warnings started to look less like theory and more like a preview of what was already happening. The birth of the new tent cities. Drive across the country now, and you'll see the new version of America rising. Not in shiny skyscrapers or booming tech corridors, but in open fields, wrapped in chain link and lined with rows of identical gray tents. These are the federally approved tent camps, the centerpiece of Trump's 2025 blueprint for handling homeless in America. They're tidy, structured, tightly controlled, A stark contrast to the messy, sprawling encampments that once filled sidewalks in places like Los Angeles and San Francisco. At a glance, it all looks like progress. But if you stand inside those fences long enough, the story starts to feel very different. In Florida, the first pilot location opened just outside Miami in January. 200 people were relocated overnight, some agreeing, most not given much choice. Inside the camp, residents receive meals, basic medical care, and job counseling. But there's a string attached: strict curfews, mandatory programs, and automatic police alerts if someone leaves without clearance. One woman told me it felt less like a shelter and more like a treatment center with guards. Utah went even further. In October, a massive homeless campus opened on the outskirts of Salt Lake City, built to hold around 1,300 people. Officials branded the model compassionate enforcement. The phrase spread quickly, as if those two words could make control sound like kindness. But real compassion doesn't require watchtowers. It doesn't need barbed wire. Then there's Washington, D.C. In March, the National Guard cleared more than 500 tents from the streets around Union Station. Many of the people displaced there were sent to new federal camps, pushed out toward the city's edges. By summer, the visible number of homeless encampments had fallen by nearly half. It looked like a win, until you started asking what that victory actually cost. When I visited one of those sites in late August, the quiet was almost unnerving. Lines of identical tents stretched across a dusty field. A sign at the entrance read, "Restoration through discipline." Inside, a man named Brian, a veteran in his 50s, told me, "They say this is temporary, but when there's nowhere else to go, temporary starts to feel like forever." His voice cut straight through the slogans and talking points. Because this isn't really about ending homeless in America. It's about managing it, pushing it out of sight so everyone else doesn't have to. Under Executive Order 14,321, cities that follow federal enforcement rules are moved to the front of the line for funding. Those that don't, even big Democratic-led cities like Los Angeles or San Francisco, risk losing support. By August, Los Angeles had swept more than 1,000 tents from Skid Row, sending many people to a new transitional tent compound beyond city limits. Leaders called it a humane middle ground. Advocates described it as punishment wrapped in softer language. The message is simple and unforgiving: cooperate or disappear. For some, it feels like security. For others, it feels like giving up. Still, polls show that more than half of Americans back these actions. Maybe it's burnout, maybe it's fear. Or maybe it's that shared instinct to look away when a problem feels too heavy to truly fix. But as I walked out of that camp in D.C., the thing that stayed with me wasn't the rows of tents or the fences. It was Brian's quiet gaze through the wire, a look that carried the question no policy document can answer. When did we start calling it progress to simply hide the people we've failed to help? The political blame game. Every campaign season, the same script plays out. Candidates grab the microphone, point at their opponents, and promise they'll solve homelessness like it's a busted streetlight instead of a human life. Democrats talk about empathy and long-term investment. Republicans warn about disorder and the need to restore law and order. Each party knows its lines by heart, each certain the other side is to blame for the way the streets look now. But once the cameras go dark, the speeches fade, and the tents stay exactly where they were. From where I'm standing, Homeless in America stopped being just a crisis a long time ago. It's turned into a prop in a never-ending political show. Cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco get used by conservatives as evidence of progressive failure. At the same time, liberals accuse red states of turning their backs on people living with poverty, trauma, and mental illness. The talking points get volleyed back and forth like a tennis ball, but the people stuck in the middle don't move even an inch closer to real support. Last year, a policy analyst in DC said something to me that I can't shake. We treat homelessness like a spreadsheet, but almost never as a conversation with the people living it. She was right. So many decisions are drafted in quiet conference rooms, far from the sidewalks where lives actually unravel. You can't feel the night air from inside a hearing room. You can't smell the wet concrete in a briefing binder. Sometimes I wonder if they even see them anymore. The faces under overpasses, the still figures on park benches. Or maybe all of us have learned how not to look, just so it's easier to close our eyes and sleep. The economic heartbeat of despair. Homelessness is the shadow trailing behind an economy that never stops praising its own strength. We're told about record employment, booming markets, and confident consumers. Yet behind those headlines, another quieter story unfolds. It's the story of paychecks that never quite stretch far enough, rents that climb faster than anyone can keep up, and families slipping through the cracks one missed bill at a time. In cities from Seattle to Miami, I've met people who once believed they were secure. Folks with stable jobs, solid credit, maybe even a bit of savings tucked away. Then a layoff hit, or a medical emergency came out of nowhere, or a notice appeared on the door from the landlord. And just like that, the life they knew was gone. For older Americans, especially veterans and retirees on fixed incomes, it doesn't take much. One major car repair, one unexpected health scare, and the ground simply drops out. It's a bitter irony, isn't it? We call this the land of opportunity, but so many are living one rent payment away from catastrophe. When most people picture homeless in America, they see tents, freeway underpasses, and cardboard signs. But the truth is, it usually begins long before someone ends up outside. It starts with numbers on a page that just don't work anymore. And yet, I've watched something else in the people living this reality. A stubborn, quiet hope that refuses to fade. A retired teacher in Phoenix who volunteers at a shelter, tutoring kids for free. A construction worker in Detroit who sleeps in his truck, but still finds a way to send money to his daughter in college. These small acts of resistance remind me that even inside despair, there's still dignity. But empathy on its own won't repair what's broken. It requires courage. The kind that rewrites zoning codes, rebuilds neighborhoods, and treats housing not as a handout, but as a basic pillar of who we are. The role of community and innovation. Even with all the political noise and broken promises, I've stumbled across these pockets of light that remind me this country still has a beating heart. All over the map, ordinary people are doing what large systems often fail to do. They're building circles of care, one simple act of kindness at a time. In Texas, there's a place called Community First Village, a neighborhood of tiny houses created for people who went years without one. It's more than 4 walls and a roof. It's a kind of chosen family. Residents plant gardens together, share meals under strings of lights, and find meaning in the small, everyday rituals of life. In Seattle, mobile shower trucks drive through the city, offering more than just soap and water. They give back a sense of dignity. And in New York, public libraries now have social workers on staff, quietly helping homeless in America find shelter, documents, and some kind of footing again. These projects aren't flashy. They don't come with big branding campaigns or primetime press conferences. But they work because they start with people first, not problems. They show us that some of the most powerful answers don't begin in Washington. They start on a front porch, in a church hall, or in the back of a van where someone decided to show up and care. I've come to think this is the real revolution, the kind that doesn't need headlines to matter. While politicians argue over budgets and buzzwords, local communities are quietly piecing lives back together from the bottom up. They're proving that compassion and creativity still belong to regular people, not just institutions. Maybe that's where our future really starts, not in policy drafts or executive orders, but in neighbors who choose not to look away. Conclusion. As this video closes, I keep coming back to what this crisis says about us, not just as a country, but as people. Homelessness isn't only about tents, shelters, or statistics. It's what happens when a society slowly forgets how to care for its own. Behind every tarp and cardboard sign is a story that could have been ours. A lost job, a medical bill, a wrong turn, a life that never had the chance to recover. When we talk about homeless in America, we throw around numbers, but numbers don't feel cold sidewalks or hunger. People do. They carry memories, regret, and a quiet hope that somehow survives being ignored. The real failure isn't just in housing policy, it's in connection. Fixing this means more than building units. It means choosing to really see those we've pushed to the edges. Because the true strength of a nation is measured by how it holds the people it's forgotten.